Our top story on Gravitas tonight is about the Russia-Ukraine war. Less than 24 hours before Ukrainian officials sit across American officials in Saudi Arabia to secure a ceasefire and a framework for a peace agreement in the three-year-long war with Russia that has claimed more than 43,000 of its soldiers. Well, it looks like Kiev's chances of playing any territorial card as a bargaining chip have majorly been reduced. Russian military is tightening its grip on Ukraine, executing a series of rapid advances. In the Kursk region, Russian troops have encircled thousands of Ukrainian forces and reclaimed 3 settlements. That's in Ukraine's Sumy region. Russia has recaptured Novonik, which is a small settlement across the border, along with the village of Lebedevka. While in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region, Russian forces have captured the village of Kostya-Ternopol. Well, Moscow's latest offensive combines aerial assault with intensified ground operations. Over the past week, drone and missile strikes have created chaos on Ukrainian cities. According to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky, around 1,200 guided aerial bombs, nearly 870 attack drones, and more than 80 missiles of different types had been used by Russia against Ukraine. That's just in the last week. To give you an estimate, that is over 2,000 missiles, drones and bombs fired in just 7 days. But it's not just the aerial strikes that is gaining momentum and attention. An extraordinary and unconventional tactic used by Russian special forces in Kursk is also making headlines. While elite Russian troops navigated an abandoned gas pipeline to infiltrate Ukrainian defenses, traveling nearly 16 kilometers through a narrow 1.5-meter wide pipeline while enduring extreme conditions for days. The maneuver allowed Russia to emerge undetected behind Ukrainian lines, launching a surprise attack. According to reports, the Russian forces crept through the pipeline, avoiding detection until they were in prime position to strike Ukraine. Now, this strategy worked to devastating effects, catching Ukrainian soldiers off guard and also accelerating Russia's advance. Although the Kremlin has not officially commented on this, the commander of Chechenya's Akhmat Special Forces reshared images of soldiers inside the pipeline on Telegram, hailing the operation as a major achievement. Images circulating on Russian Telegram channels, it showed Russian commandos wearing gas masks illuminated by headlamps, navigating through the dark and narrow passage. The pipeline in question was built during the Soviet era. It used to transport gas from western Siberia through Sudza into Ukraine until the start of this year, when Kiev cut off all Russian gas transit through its territory. And according to open-source military maps, Ukrainian forces in Kursk are nearly encircled, a situation that former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev described in a post on Telegram as a smoking cauldron that is about to be sealed shut. Remember, last August, Ukraine seized around 1,300 square kilometers of Russia's Kursk region, aiming to gain an upper hand for future negotiations and also force Moscow to divert resources away from eastern Ukraine. However, with Russia now regaining control not just in Kursk but in other parts of Ukraine as well, Kiev's bargaining chip is rapidly losing its value, something that could not have come at a worse time for Kiev. We say that because Ukraine finds itself without U.S. military aid and intelligence sharing. Washington has frozen arms shipments and intelligence sharing with Kiev, following a contentious meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Washington 2 weeks ago. The suspension has left Ukraine in a tough spot, in a tough position, with its defensive capabilities severely affected, the loss of strategic territory and American support. All this places Kyiv in an increasingly weak position ahead of the negotiations with the US. Ukrainian forces now face an uphill battle in a bid to retain what remains under their control, especially when they lack resources. At this point of time, Russia continues to reassert its control, and Ukraine finds itself on the defensive, struggling to maintain its foothold. Now, with the situation worsening rapidly for Ukraine, it seems that Kyiv may not have any major bargaining chip in the talks in Saudi Arabia. Instead, it is now scrambling for a ceasefire. Ukrainian officials told AFP that a long US intel pause for Ukraine would rather give Russia major advantage, and that Kyiv is likely to propose a sky and sea ceasefire at the Saudi talks with the US.
The most intensive work with President Trump's team at various levels has been ongoing all day. Many calls. The focus is clear. Peace as soon as possible, security as reliably as possible. Ukraine is committed to being as constructive as possible.